Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. I think we can start the stream, hopefully. Cool. So, welcome to today's stream, and we're gonna go back to the regular schedule right now. So we're gonna go into doing streaming on specific topics. I mean, as anything else. So, the last 3 streams were on the topic of AWS CloudFormation. So we were focused on coding something in AWS CloudFormation. So it was a very unorganized stream. So basically you would see me type some code and read documentation and troubleshoot and all the things. But today we're going to actually go back to the roots and we're going to actually look at some services from AWS, look at some things to see how can they actually make your lives a bit better. If there is anybody on the stream, can you just confirm that the sound is okay or not? I don't know, but okay. So today's topic is actually going to be around Amazon Lightstream. So Amazon Lightstream is this very neat service that was released, not Lightstream, sorry, I made a mistake, LightSail. So LightSail is a service that basically gives you the ability to use virtual machines on AWS. Now, hey, Gracio, hi. So LightSail basically gives you the ability to use virtual machines on AWS. But wait, isn't that Amazon or AWS EC2? Yeah, but if you ever found EC2 or all the things around it pretty complex and you wanted a simple web server, simple WordPress server, simple just a LAMP stack to create for yourself with a few button clicks, Amazon LightSail is basically the thing that should, well, help you out in all of that. So I think sound is good too. Thank you, sir. Perfect. Cool. So let's switch to the thing here. I think we can go like that. Excellent. Also, you get to bathe in the gloriousness of my different laptop. I'm not using my MacBook right now because I'm having some issues with my MacBook. Hello, Janane. Hi, welcome to the stream. So just for everybody to kind of catch up, today we're looking at Amazon LightSail, not Lightstream, LightSail, service that basically helps you launch virtual machines, run websites, run web servers on AWS in a very, very approachable manner. If you ever used anything like some VPS cPanel type hosting, LightSail might be very familiar with you. So, and there's a lot of different things on top of that. It's not just, hey, let's host a website. It's also, well, running on AWS. So there's a few other features to it as well. But I think we'll have a look because here's the thing. I've been speaking to a lot of folks recently, and I've been getting questions and requests saying, hey, I want to run my web server. I just want to run my WordPress on all this. How can I do that? Well, now this will be basically the solution, or hopefully going to be the solution for this one. Also, I hope everybody's having a good day and a good start of the week. Been pretty busy for me today. Had a webinar on infrastructure as code today, so it was fun. Spent the last evening recording said webinar, and I have also I have an event that's coming up this week as well, and another webinar on Friday on the topic of CDK. So if you're interested in CDK and, well, getting started CDK content, make sure to check out that webinar. I believe I've pasted the link somewhere on social media. So, and some late afternoon coffee. So let's have a look. Where is my cursor? Let's look at LightSail. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that LightSail is actually a kind of a separate product to itself. So if you see on my management console here, LightSail has a little external thing here because it's actually on an external platform. So it looks much different than anything you're used to, right? So or anything you're used to on AWS. So it is very plain, very approachable to a lot of things. Like especially if you're, for example, you're a developer, you want to do something fast and you want a WordPress web server or Django or Node.js or even just a LAMP stack, this is kind of a great solution for you. Now I know that we keep on talking, and I keep on talking about, oh, well, you should use serverless, or you should use Amplify, you should maybe opt in to use Fargate with containers, all that stuff. Yeah, that's absolutely fine, and you should. But sometimes you just want to have WordPress, right? Sometimes you just need a simple WordPress website, or you need some other application, or you just need a simple server setup for a relatively simple project, or even something more, right? So Amazon LightSail, besides just giving you the ability to launch a website or a web server, gives you the ability additionally to do much more. Launch fully managed databases, add some storage, also fully managed storage. You can even do some networking in a sense. You can do like a load balancing as well. So today I'm actually going to have a look at all of those things and see how that works. But first things first, these things are actually running on AWS, but they are not within your AWS account. So they're fully managed, they're sitting somewhere else, you don't have to care about it, but there's actually an option to bring some of these things back into your AWS account. So I think the first thing we're going to do is actually create an Ec2 instance. Oh, no, sorry. It's not an Ec2 instance. Well, technically it is, but it's not. So let's create an Ec2 instance. There's a big yellow button saying create instance, and this button reminds me of 2004 when I created my first websites with GeoCities. You know, those pill-shaped gradient buttons. That was the thing back then. But let's click that create button. As you can see, it's calling it an instance. It looks very similar. You'll see a lot of similar terminology, and also there's regions and availability zones. So they still exist, and they're actually showed a bit more graphically like this. Good afternoon, Graham. But also you can see here that is a flaming torch GIF and a marquee text. I agree. Yeah, we need something like that. We need to create a 1990s LightSail. So here, when it comes to instance region selection, you can see that it's kind of limited to some regions. So it's not available in all regions, but most of the major ones are covered. I'm going to stick to Ireland because most of my things I do is in Ireland. So let me select the US region. You can actually choose your availability zone for some reason, right? So maybe this is, so I'll come to this later on. So if you create like a multi-server stack where you will have some servers in AZ1 and AZ2, and you would want to do some load balancing, maybe you want to kind of separate these things into separate availability zones, just, well, for better high availability and reliability. So I'm just keep the zone as it is. Now, basically, this is where you choose your platform. You can use Windows or Linux. Now, when it comes to Windows, you can run SQL Server Express as a managed solution. So it basically will bootstrap a SQL Server Express on a Windows node, or you can just basically launch Windows Server to 2016 and 2012. As you can see, there is no 2019 as of yet, but I'm sure that at one point it's going to come. I'm going to go back to Linux just to make sure to run that. And you can see it's also running Amazon Linux 1, a bit of an older release of Ubuntu, Debian. These things exist on LightSail. But where the fun part comes is when you actually want to launch a proper managed thing on here. So let's do WordPress, because why not? Everybody runs WordPress, and that's kind of a very common thing about your first blog is like, oh, let me do it in WordPress, because if you Google blog, I guess you'll get the first thing you'll get is WordPress. So select WordPress. There's a couple of things you can also do here. You can add a launch script. A launch script is the same thing as on EC2. You have user data, so you can basically give it a specific bash script to execute during launch. I don't have to do it. I won't do anything here because this is actually optional, but it will enable me to configure some additional things on my EC2 instance on this side, but I don't have to do it here. It's fine. Key pairs. Now, key pairs are different than on EC2, and you'll see why. So it has the default key pair, and there's no such thing as a default key pair on EC2. You can change the key pair. You can basically create a new one, but also unlike EC2, you can actually download your key pair. So, you know, on EC2, when you create an EC2 instance and you create a key pair, you can get a key then and there, and that's it. No other time it's available. Only then and there a key pair is actually available. So if you want to get it later on, there are some hoops you need to jump through. Here, you can actually download this key for yourself, and this key is available. So I have the default key. I'm going to be using that one. Now, snapshots, you can make basically snapshots. It's similar to like EC2 snapshots. It creates just a snapshot backup of the instance on a daily schedule. I'm not going to do that because I don't really care. Okay, this is where some simpler things kind of come into mind when it comes to LightSail. So for people who have been complaining about, I cannot understand AWS costs. And I get you, I fully do. So many things are involved in costs, from storage to network transfer and whatnot. Here you have everything. Literally, if I would launch this wonderful WordPress server running on Linux, it would cost me $3.50 a month. The first month is free, but everything else is $3.50. And I get half a gig of RAM, 1 vCPU, and 20 gigabytes of storage, and 1 terabyte of transfer. That's it. This is what I get. And it's very simple. It's very blunt, saying, hey, you want a server, it's going to cost you this much. Now, you can go up to up to a whole lot of money, right? You can go to like having a full-on $160 a month instance with a lot of things. Yeah, almost like free tier EC2, absolutely. But here is very much, it's very much, I would say it's more transparent than on EC2. On EC2, you get the pricing per hour, but that's just for EC2. You have to include your EBS costs, you have to include network transfer costs. So there's a whole lot of things. This is basically your fixed cost for this amount of resources, right? So it's relatively simple and straightforward. So let's go all out and let's do $5 a month. Why not? We will give this instance a name. I'm gonna do WordPress stream. Stream 01. Let's call it this one. You can launch multiple instances of this time, so I can do like 5 of them, but I'm just gonna do 1. Launching 5 WordPress instances of the same configuration is, well, in my opinion, a bit worthless unless they're configured to use external databases and having a load balanced approach. This is just having multiple of the same thing. You can do some keys like tagging, but I'm just going to completely ignore that and click this lovely 2004. Circa 2004 button. So let's smash that button here. You smash that like button and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you very much. As you can see, it's pending here. But one of the things that kind of freaked me out here, you get basically an ad. So oh, we noticed you get Clippy here. It says, oh, we noticed you're running several WordPress instances. You might find GoDaddy Pro Suites useful for managing them. I guess we give you a GoDaddy ad or GoDaddy Pro Suites ad on LightSail. Why not? I have not tried it. What is this? Is it good or not? So I'm not bashing. I'm not complaining. It's just weird seeing this ad on the AWS console, right? So, but okay, it's 2020. So let's close this off. I don't need this. Now you can see that this is running. So I have an old one created just prior to the stream just to make sure it works. But we're gonna play with this one. So there's a couple of things we can do here. If I click on this instance, you'll see there's a bunch of things. I got an IP address, I have a private IP address. I can connect to it using SSH. Now apparently there is this SSH browser-based SSH, but I always get a client unauthorized for some reason. I don't really know why that's happening. So I can actually just connect through it like through normal SSH because it's actually open towards the internet. So if I would go to networking, I can see I have actually my firewall rules, and basically this is a security group, but it's very much shown like a firewall because a security group in essence is a firewall, right? Yes, Graham, so LightSail is for building web apps. It's basically a platform where you would host your web applications. Again, it's very low touch, right? So, hey, you want a server? Well, bam, click a button. 2 minutes later, you have a server. It's very transparent. It says how much it's going to cost. You don't have to worry too much about things. So I think that's very useful here. So I have port 22 open towards the internet. So, okay, I guess. You can also do some things like load balancing and distribution and a whole lot of different stuff. Metrics. There's a bunch of things regarding metrics here. So if you ever interested in how like Is this a T instance? Is a T2 instance or a T3 instance? Yes, it is, because you see that we have burstable CPU utilization. So this is a T2 instance in the backend. We can see how much CPU bursts do we have. We can also set up some alarms. So it's very, very much streamlined towards what you need to do, right? Snapshots, tags, there's some history, and you can also delete your instance with this lovely circa 2004 button. Oh boy. Okay, let's connect to this instance. So there's a bunch of things how to get started, but so let's just open up the IP address here. Is it running an EC2 under the hood or containers? Now that's the thing. I don't really know. I believe it's an EC2 instance, but it's not exposed to you as an EC2 instance. And you can actually export this to an EC2 instance. So my gut feeling is that this is an EC2 instance, but it is not a pure, like, it's not actually shown to you. And we can actually check that. I think we can check the metadata. Okay, so we see it's a WordPress site. We have a blog saying hello world, and it's all the things. Now it's just having like a hello world example of WordPress. To get started with WordPress on LightSail, you can actually hit the little manage button here. So this entire system is actually managed by Bitnami. Bitnami is I think it's a solution or a product or something that provisions these things for you. So it uses kind of Bitnami to wrap all of these things up. So if I click here, Bitnami is actually going to tell me, hey, how to access WordPress. You can log into the console, you get this, but you don't know the username and password. One thing we know here that the user is actually called user, but to get the password, it's very interesting. So let me show you how to get the password. So you still need a bit of a know-how how to get to this, or at least somebody with know-how to help you get started. So one of the things I can do here is I can actually zoom in here a bit. Let me F11 this. I can go to my SSH thing here. Let me find my IP address, copy. So SSH -I, and there's this LightSail key and Bitnami at this IP address, right? So yes, as you can see now I'm connected through SSH to this EC2 instance, or actually to this LightSail instance per se. You'll see there's a bunch of files in the Bitnami account. So I can actually get this password here, or actually application password and credentials. I can get this password and use it in my application. So let me just, I want to do something here. I want to make sure that this is not visible because this is live. So give me a moment to, wait, no. I need this, and I need to do this and move my terminal like this and cat my Bitnami application password. I apologize, everybody. I'm just gonna do this and then clear my screen, and then hopefully make sure this works. HTOP works. HTOP is not installed. Excellent. So that perfect. Now I have that password. I collected that password. So one of the things I can do here is go user and then just wha-bam, paste it, and wha-bam, and we should be logged into my WordPress dashboard. And now basically I can do whatever WordPress does. Now you can change your WordPress blog posts or whatnot. Now I'm not a WordPress person. I've used WordPress like 3 times in my life. Apparently a lot of people love it, and I can see why. It's very streamlined towards blog writing, and a lot of the big blogs out there are actually using WordPress in the background. So I think it's very cool. But so it took me that much to basically create my WordPress blog. Now, because WordPress in essence is running PHP, and it's running PHP and MySQL, so everything is actually running locally. And maybe we can see something here. So if I do we have that stat? Yes, cool. So sudo netstat tulpn. We see that we have a MySQL database running here. We have SSHD running. We have HTTPD. We also have SSL. and MySQL daemon as well. So everything is running here. I guess we have PHP, right? I mean, is that the version? Yeah, okay, yeah. PHP 7 is running here. So it's basically a LAMP stack with a pre-configured WordPress setup. So very simple and easy way to set up WordPress. Now, one of the things I used to do WordPress, or not WordPress, I used to do LAMP stacks. I used to build applications on way back when on WordPress, not WordPress, on a LAMP stack. So in PHP, MySQL, and Apache. One of the most useful tools I would have is PHPMyAdmin. So if you would do things like work on your MySQL database, for me, at least at the time, that was 10 years ago, was the simplest way to do it was through this web interface. Now, luckily, this thing is actually coming with PHPMyAdmin, but because of security reasons, PHPMyAdmin is limited to be only accessible from the local host. So there's actually a quick guide how to do it, but let me be that quick guide. So one of the things we can use here, because we have SSH access, we can use port forwarding or tunneling to actually tunnel this port or attach the remote port locally so we can use it. So if I would go, let's see, what I need to find my IP address here. So I can take this thing here, like I'll take my command here. I'm gonna add -L, then I'll do 8888. So this will be the local host. This will be the local port on my laptop. Then I will do 127.0.0.1 and colon 80. So I'm port forwarding port 80 from the WordPress box to my local port 8888. Right? So if I do this, hopefully it doesn't say anything. It says it's connected. That's good. So, but if I would go right now to localhost and do 8888, so I should get this one. But one of the things I need to do is PHPMyAdmin. And you'll see right now that it takes a moment or so, but I have access to PHPMyAdmin. Well, this takes me back. It's been a long time since I used PHPMyAdmin. I think I can paste the old password again. It's using the same password as I copy pasted from the initial, through SSH, the thing I had to hide. So if I click go here, and yeah, I have PHPMyAdmin, and it works. I think this is the same console and everything that I used back in 2011. I'm not sure how much PHPMyAdmin has changed since then, but yeah, this takes me back. 5.1 is that latest stable version is this one. PHP is this one. I guess this is the low. Is there any LAMP stack folks here that work with PHPMyAdmin? Is this a good version of PHPMyAdmin or not? I don't know. But it's interesting, right? So you get all the tools, all the things you need here for like your WordPress database. It's already configured. You have all the tools to actually interact with WordPress. So you can access, of course, WordPress through the web panel or the WordPress admin panel. You have PHPMyAdmin for MySQL work, but also it looks dated, but I think it's the latest version, right? So so PHPMyAdmin. I'm not sure what's the latest version of that. Yeah, this is the latest version. So version 5.0, it was from March this year. So this is running 5.01, I believe. This is 5.01. So basically 5.01 is from January this year. So yeah, PHPMyAdmin does look dated, but yeah. So Mr. Charles Cookie Monster asks, would it be better to use an AWS managed Maria/MySQL database with WordPress? Absolutely. So taking my professional opinion, if you would like to have a more reliable, let's say resilient and a scalable system, you would definitely do it like that, right? Now, what LightSail here gives you is basically a simple way to do it with a one click. Create a single instance with all the things in one place. The database, the entire LAMP stack basically sits on a single Ec2 instance, and it's ready for WordPress, right? And let's be honest, a lot of WordPress sites are very ephemeral, right? So you create them for a project, an event, something happens, it's maybe they're not forever, right? You create them for this thing, you run them during this event, during a specific length of a project, and it's gone. And to be honest, for that kind of a thing, this is just perfect, right? If you want to have like, let's say, I'll give you an example. There's a music festival happening, and you want to have multiple people write specific blog posts or articles about this music festival. Now, WordPress is a blogging platform, but it's not only a blogging platform, right? So you would create this page, platform, whatnot, through WordPress, instead of spending a lot of time and effort, because the golden rule is the only thing you can never get back is your time. So do not spend time where you don't need to. So instead of spending a lot of time setting up a massive MySQL / MariaDB managed cluster on AWS and setting up a WordPress server and all that, launch a WordPress server here, you have daily snapshots, and even if you lose your data for one day, how bad is it, right? So it's always a discussion of risk versus reward. Is the risk that bad if you lose something? So yeah, this is great. I mean, this works for a lot of WordPress people. I mean, I was in a WordPress conference last year, I believe. Was it last year? I don't even recall. I think WordPress last year or the year before that. I can't recall. So I was on a WordPress conference, and the thing is, the folks who do WordPress are not doing that a lot. At least the big WordPress community that I talked to didn't do it on AWS because it was very complicated to set it up all on AWS. And I understand a lot of you folks following my streams are great engineers and are using AWS for a long time. But a lot of the folks who actually do WordPress and these kind of things are either new or just do WordPress. So expecting them to set up a fully scalable cloud scale WordPress setup, it would be an overkill, yeah, like Mr. Connier says. So setting up something like this, and you get a very clear example of, hey, how much will this cost? It is just a great thing, right? And I get this. I have this WordPress blog right now present. It works. I have all the things I have to do with. I have my PHPMyAdmin present. I have my WordPress backend. Also, I have SSH access. So if I want to do some files, I can copy files. And this is the thing. People came to me like, oh, how do you copy files to an EC2 instance? Where's my FTP? Don't use FTP, please. Never use SCP. But you can use here because you have FTP open. You have SSH open, so you can use SCP clients for this. And you wouldn't imagine how many people use tools such as FileZilla or what other SCP client exists for these kind of things. So this already came pre-set up for such a workload. But there's a few things you can do. Let's say you're very proud of your WordPress website and you are super happy with the way it works. And you decide, you know what? I want to make something more out of this. I want to migrate this to AWS. I want to move the things I have here to AWS so I can expand. I can create a bigger instance. I can use all the additional things within my AWS account. I can connect it to my other things in my VPC. How do you do that? Well, it's a classic tale of migration. So I can go ahead and just go here and dump my database. Or actually, can you dump a database from here? Export. Yes, you can export your databases. You can dump your database here. You can install WordPress somewhere else, and that's fine. But there's a better way to do it. Let me show you. So if I go to snapshots, I can click create a snapshot. Just bam, like this. Now it creates a snapshot. So it's going to create my. It will basically create an EBS snapshot of my WordPress instance somewhere. Now, I can. Once that snapshot is done, actually it takes a few minutes for this to happen, but I think I already have somewhere. I have it prepared. If I go here to my other WordPress instance, and you have a look at my snapshot, which is created here, it's a 20 gigabyte SSD disk snapshot. So basically that's the snapshot. What I can do here is I can go here and export to Amazon EC2, which is amazing. So if I click this, it gives me all kinds of warnings. Hey, you will be billed EBS rates for storing snapshots and whatnot. So it actually exports this snapshot to your AWS account. So if I do this, yes, continue, it's gonna, that's fine, key pairs, all the things. And it's gonna basically, yeah, pricing is now 100% more complicated. Absolutely. I think that warning should come with a cost calculator link as well, because it can get complex, especially compared to this. Like, oh, it's just $5 a month. But yeah, it's not like that. It's just on AWS. But here's the thing: you get your lovely task monitor. You see, oh, it's exporting to AWS. So. An awesome day in Belgrade back in 2019. Engineers from GoDaddy explained how they use WordPress on AWS. Oh yeah, I think there are a lot of folks who use WordPress on AWS. Absolutely. I don't think that's a discussion here. I just think that a lot of folks who do WordPress, like purely WordPress, and I follow a lot of them on Twitter, and they just don't use AWS because it's super complex to them. It's WordPress developers. Now, companies that use WordPress, they do it on AWS. So, but Mr. Janan, do you have any experience to share about? I wasn't present on that talk from GoDaddy, but how do they use it? Is there something special they do? Is it scalable? Is it highly available and all that stuff? There's actually a really neat blog post on WordPress on AWS. So I think there's a YouTube talk by somebody. There is one. There was a talk by somebody somewhere. Is this one? No, it's not this one. There is a really neat WordPress talk from one of the events. I think it was one of the reInvents. Let's have a look. WordPress AOS reInvent, where they explained. Yeah, so this is it's a relatively old presentation, or it's from 2017, but they explain how they do like a fully fledged highly scalable WordPress setup on AWS. Now, this is with the entire separation of multiple EC2 instances working as front ends to multiple databases managed and all this stuff. So, what's the best way for me to share this? Something I'm using a different computer for this one. Give me a second. So this is combination G25. Moving to switch account. This one. I can view my history here. Yes, I can. Copy link. Bam. Copy and paste. Can I paste? Copy. Oh, did you find it? Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you. I appreciate it. Faster than me. The fastest hand of Central Bosnia. Thank you. So back to my talk, back to my discussion on EC2. So here you can see we have a snapshot, and I'm exporting this snapshot right now to EC2. Now, once that is done, you're gonna actually have this is the example I've done before. You're gonna get hey, open the EC2 console or create a new Amazon EC2 instance from this snapshot. So if I hit this, it's actually going to take me through this lovely wizard on how to configure an EC2. So it finds this AMI. It's not an AMI. It's it is. It's a snapshot you've created. It's going to, oh yeah, it's in Ireland, so it knows where you created. It's going to use basically the same region and availability zone as your LightSail instance, but there's a slight issue where your preferred zone might not be available because LightSail is actually in a different account, and zone mappings, for those of you who didn't know, are not the same in every account. So you may not have all the exact same availability zones. At least they might be present as the same availability zones, but they technically may not be. So it finds your closest match. It says, oh, it's a T3 Nano because it is. It can also help you help me choose, or if you're knowledgeable enough, you can find your own. I'm actually gonna use just the T3 Nano because that's just the way it works. You can specify port configuration. Now it will take the same firewall or security group configuration that it had, and it's gonna add this to the EC2 instance. You can also add a user data script here, but I'm not gonna do here anyway. When it comes to a key pair, now it's gonna be using the default key pair from LightSail. So it will not use your AWS EC2 key pairs. You would have to configure that yourself as you go along, but this will be sufficient. Storage stays the same, and also, hey, pricing. So make sure to understand EC2 pricing because EC2 pricing. And last but not least, again, circa 2004 button, bam. Oh, acknowledge, this is about the key, right? You should remove the LightSail default key and use your own. Yeah, okay. So it's creating an EC2 instance. What actually it's doing, it's creating a CloudFormation template to create all these things for you. So if you go here and open up CloudFormation, you will see that it's actually launching an EC2 instance here. Well, actually, it's launching a bunch of other things. So it's creating an EC2, a VPC, a security group, and a whole lot of different things for this. So you notice it didn't ask you about a VPC. It didn't ask you about security groups per se. So it's actually going to generate all of those things for you here. Well, actually, no. Because I did it already, my previous one created this VPC. See? And the second instance is just launched into this new LightSail VPC. And if I go to my EC2 instance, like so, and let me find my EC2 instance once again. Ooh, I need to find it somewhere here. Okay, here it is. So WordPress 1. So I can see that it's running on this IP address like that. And if I go here and exit out of this, I can SSH-I. Again, I can use the same IP address, the same key because that's the one present, and just use the new IP address here, and hopefully, well, bam, it works. I am basically now connected inside of an EC2 instance, inside of AWS, inside of my own account with this LightSail instance that was created before. So pretty neat. It's very useful if you want to migrate it. Now again, with this new instance, you can do whatever you want. You can resize it. You can, migrate it to different accounts in different regions. It's really up to you because, hey, you have a snapshot now and you can just freely work with this. So that's pretty cool. Okay. I want to go back to my LightSail console again to see what else do we have on LightSail. There's a few other things. Speaking of databases, there's a managed database as well that you can create. So again, why is it in Frankfurt? I want Ireland. Yeah, thank you. So you can do MySQL or Postgres as well. It will basically create a MySQL, a fully managed MySQL database for you, where you can specify your credentials in database. You basically get a connection string here, and it also supports high availability. So you can increase basically, it's in essence, I think it's Aurora or RDS. I'm not sure what's in the backend, but basically you can increase it. I think it's RDS. So you can do standard, basically a single instance, or high availability, which again, you have very clear pricing. So you know that's $30 a month for this instance size with this thing. Yeah, simple as that. I'm not going to create a database because it just takes so much time, but this is also possible. What else do we have? Some networking. Okay, you can also define static IPs. That's a relatively recent thing. You can do a load balancer. Now, when it comes to load balancing on LightSail, this is not just a. It's not as okay. So it's a bit of a different approach than using it on AWS, right? In AWS, you would have like a containers on ECS or Fargate, or you would have an auto-scaling group with a bunch of EC2 instances on it. You can do manual things on AWS, but nobody does it manual. On LightSail, you would basically connect individual LightSail instances to a load balancer. There's a caveat. Now, it doesn't. Your application, the thing you're launching needs to be load balanceable, right? If I launch 5 WordPress instances and put them behind the load balancer, each of those WordPress instances are different because each of them are running off their own database and their own data stores. So, I would have to configure like a LAMP stack. I would launch a server with a LAMP configuration with a database set up remotely, a managed database as well, and then have a load balancer in front of it. Makes it a bit simpler than doing it on AWS because it's kind of a push button solution, but it is also quite possible. So if I create a load balancer, you can do some certificates as well, and simple as that. One of the recent features, and this is something I have not had a chance to look into, you can also do CDN. You can connect a content distribution network. Basically, you use CloudFront to attach them to your LightSail instances. Gives you better range and better response to your customers around the world. So it's also a pretty neat feature. So creating a distribution is just a matter of, again, clicking a button by doing a global thing. So I have nothing here in Frankfurt, but I want to do Ireland. So I can basically select my WordPress instance, create a static IP for it, which is going to cost me money, and then based off of that I can do all of the CloudFront things I ever wanted, but it's a much more simple approach to that. Storage. You can do disks. Simple as that. You basically can create storage disks. It basically creates storage volumes that you can attach to your LightSail instances like any other internal disks. So anything from it's basically an EBS volume attached to your instance. And last but not least is where we have our snapshots, and from these snapshots again, so I haven't showed this, but you can actually create a new instance from this exact same snapshot, so which is pretty cool. Okay, yeah, I think there's not a lot more to talk about when it comes to LightSail. I'm sure that there are some things connected to LightSail which are a bit more complex, but in general, LightSail is a really neat feature if you want a quick and dirty WordPress instance. Quick and dirty. Let's have a look what exists here. So Django, Node.js, Drupal, Joomla, Plesk hosting as well. If you want to do any of these things, right, it's relatively easy to do it on LightSail. I'm interested in Plesk hosting. So what does this do? Hosting stack, powered by Plesk, web-based server management, security tools, WordPress automation. Yeah, hey, you want to host WordPress sites? You can use Plesk. So it's very neat, very cool. You see on this, it's a bit of a more power-hungry thing, so you cannot use the smallest instance. So you need at least 1 GB of storage. But yeah, you can go way above that as well. So yeah, check it out. It's relatively cheap if you have the need for something like this. Again, if you would ask me, should you start developing your application so you can run it on a LightSail instance? No. Unless it's something that needs to be just a super simple web application that needs to run on a Node.js server or like a PHP application, and you have the application already there, but you just want to host it somewhere, yeah, of course. But if you want to go ahead and develop a fully fledged application just to run it on a single instance on AWS, try doing it serverless. It's going to be cheaper, more scalable, and well, it's going to be more fun to set up. So let's call it that way. Cool. Well, that was a relatively short stream. I have nothing else to talk about, to be honest. One of the things I want to mention, I will be doing my next Let's Code streaming series sometime soon. I'm not sure it's going to be this week or next week, but I'm going to basically do the same thing as I did before, a very raw stream where I do a lot of coding and reading documentation and trying to figure things out. So it should be fun. Please feel free to join me. And I'm going to be tackling CDK. I'm going to be creating something in CDK. I don't know what. If anybody has a suggestion what I should do, please let me know. I would really like to figure out what should I create. I don't want to do something that I already know how to do. So it would be fun to get your input on these things. Also, most likely this Thursday, not most likely, but for sure, another stream is coming up on something that I don't know what. I'll see what I'll figure out what to do here. Thank you very much for joining. It has been fun, and I hope you had enjoyed a look Another CI/CD pipeline, absolutely. I'm happy to do another CI/CD pipeline on CDK, actually. Now, and that would be cheating because I have already created a lovely CI/CD pipeline setup on CDK. It's a full-on CI/CD pipeline, not for applications, but actually this CI/CD pipeline tests CloudFormation templates. So Lambda stem functions with CDK. That might be cool. I don't know how stem functions work, so I maybe cool to do some lambdas, and we'll make a complex application out of CDK with Lambda and CI/CD pipelines and all that stuff. So we'll make sure to do those things. But yes, I don't think it's gonna come this week. I think next week we're gonna do that Let's Stream series. So if that is fine, I'm gonna probably do it at an earlier time, because one of the things I've noticed, AppSync serverless ironic website, yeah, we'll have a vote. We'll do something. So make sure to join me. I'll let you know either on Twitch. I'll put like a streaming schedule when that's gonna happen, or on Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever I post things. I'm gonna mention when I'm gonna do this stream, and I'll most likely do it a bit earlier, because usually I did it at 6 till 7, 8, whatnot. The problem was that a lot of folks, it was late for a lot of people. So I want to make sure that I don't kind of take away from your home time. I know everybody's at home all the time, but maybe at least give some time for your families. So we'll see. We'll see how it works. And the streams are relatively long. So excellent. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this quick and dirty look at Amazon LightSail. Hope you learned something, and I hope to see you again on Thursday. Bye-bye.